Hey guys, Kev here, and I have another full review to do for you on the Civivi Knives Altus. So first, I want to crack into my LaCroix coconut here, best flavor. Next to, I think it and tangerine are my favorite. I know a lot of people don't like coconut, and that's why that flavor is polarizing, just like the fruit itself. So makes sense. Don't know too many people who are like, ew, tangerine, you know? Anyway, this here is the Civivi Altus button lock budget knife on thumb studs, and it's a crazy one for me, guys. It's a really sort of back and forth on this one, right? There's things that I absolutely love about it, and there's things that I just don't. And I don't know, it's like one of those knives where like I kind of want to love it, but like deep inside I want to hate it, if that makes sense. So maybe I should say I do kind of like it, but deep inside I kind of want to hate it. And I don't know exactly why, if it's just because I'm getting sick of Civivi just doing Civivi now. I don't know, it's just kind of blah at this point. But at the same time, they are doing what we want. They're doing different things, you know. It's just, I tell this to people all the time. You have to remember in the knife world that these OEMs, these Chinese companies, even American companies, right? They're like 18 months behind us, right? If they're really on top of their shit, they're like 12 months behind us. And what I mean by that is, as a community, about 2 years ago, we started raving about button locks when the Malibu came out, right? And so, of course, these companies are immediately like, whoa, that knife just keeps selling out every time it drops. Everybody's raving about it. It's winning all these awards. We got to make a button lock, right? And that's what happens. And now you see Kaiser has button locks out the ear. You know, the sway back, the cormorant, I'm missing one. Civivi now has 3 with the Elementum button lock, the Altus here, and the Cogent. They have the Malice coming, and maybe one other one. Yeah, there is one other one. I saw it on Last Ranger's channel. Go check him out. He had like a prototype or something. I don't know. These budget knife companies are coming out with button locks. Even, you know, higher end sort of companies are coming out with button locks to compete with that, because they want to take that market, right? Because we all love them. So that's what happened, right? But it took 18 months for these to be developed, designed, you know, tooling created, manufacturing, prototyping, all that stuff, right? And now we're starting to see them hit the market the last few months. And like I said, some companies are ahead of it. And my theory to this day on the Elementum button lock is that that's what they were shooting for, a Elementum with a button lock. But they could not figure this mechanism out. They couldn't nail it down fast enough, and they wanted to get something out there, and they ended up just having a locking, like a locked up button lock with no deployment methods where you just do this. And that's what the Elementum was. I mean, there's no feasible reason why anybody would have been like, yeah, let's, like, from conception or inception, whatever. No, it's conception. They did not say, hey, we want a button lock that locks closed and doesn't have any deployments, and you're going to do this. There's no flipping way, no pun intended or pun intended, there's no way that they wanted that to happen. And then as they went along, they couldn't figure the lockout perfectly, so they did what they did. And they kept developing. And I got to give them credit, guys. They have absolutely nailed the button lock. I mean, this is, next to ProTech, probably the best button lock action I've handled. I mean, I really enjoyed the Hoback Sumo. which is, again, we're talking about a $550 American-made knife there compared to this $70 knife. They didn't get close to hitting the detent the way this is. That detent has a little sponginess to it, and it has no pop. The Cogent, the Altus, they both have excellent detents, right? Springs, so to speak. So they did a great job with it. I'm not trying to sit here and talk shit on it. I'm just trying to explain my thinking on all this. Anyway, I guess we can get into the review on this. I just wanted to get some button lock theories out there, you know, because obviously everything I just said is conjecture. I don't have inside information at Civivi. They're not going to tell me that that's what happened, right? But that's just what I figure happened. Anyway, this is the Altus, and let's get into the review. So aesthetically, it's actually a pretty decent looking knife in my opinion. It's a pretty much straightforward drop point, maybe spear point, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of unique in shape, honestly. I don't know too many blades that look like this, so, you know, it is what it is. I think it's a very simple design, and I think that's good. They didn't go overboard here. They didn't try to do anything fancy. Like, on the Cogent, they have that tactical sort of like thing here, and it really screwed the ergos up for me. This knife fits in my hand better than the Cogent did. And this is a 3-inch knife versus a 3.5-inch knife. So for whatever that's worth to you. But yeah, aesthetically, you know, and material-wise, we have G10, black G10 here, deep carry, you know, budget clip. Everybody knows it. Shitty bead blast on the blade. I mean, I don't mean shitty as in like they did a shitty bead blast. I mean, it's shitty that they did a bead blast. It's Nitro-V steel, so I have no issue with that. I like the materials. I'm not really a G10 guy, but on the Cogent, I went micarta because I wanted micarta, but I had to get that black Damascus blade, which is worse than this, right? I should have went with the G10 on that one too. I would have much preferred the 14C that comes on that as opposed to the Damascus I got. Now, if we're talking 14C versus Nitro-V, I honestly don't have a preference. I really like both of them for that range of steel. We always say budget steel, but I don't even consider those budget steels. They're just like medium range steels, right? And they're both really good. I like both because they have good corrosion resistance, good edge retention, and they're tough enough for what I, you know, like to do. It's corrosion resistant enough that, you know, the bead blast is okay here, but I just don't like it. I just don't want a bead blast. They keep doing it. Like, this is a $70 knife, I think, right around. Okay, you got to bead blast that one. This is a $230 knife, $240 knife that they called this a stonewash, but get out of here. This is a bead blast. You know, that's where it's like, dude, I spent $240 on this awesome knife. You could have freaking stonewashed it, like legit, or given me a satin blade, you know? Like, here's an Artisan, the Mini Arian, about the same price, $70, $75, I think. Or maybe this one was $85, but if you use my code at White Mountain Knives, Lefty10, you can get 10% off. That is where I got this knife, by the way. So shout out to White Mountain Knives. And again, if you want to use my code, you get 10% off, free shipping in the US. This one doesn't come with this clip, comes with one of those type clips. But look at this satin grind. Just, you know, talking about those mid-range steels, this one's AR RPM 9. Absolutely fantastic. Again, out of the 3 steels, AR RPM 9, Nitro-V, 14C, you know, I think maybe edge retention is better on the other 2 than the AR RPM 9, but I love all 3 equally. All are great. We'll just whip them all out. So she said, that's 14C from QSP. That's AR RPM 9 from Artisan, and then this is the Nitro-V from Civivi. All, in my opinion, are equally great. I like them all. Some people say this is not Nitro-V, I'm sorry. Some people say the AR RPM 9 is like consistent with 9CR in terms of edge retention. I don't know. I'm guessing that would be a little bit lower than the other 2, but I love 9CR. I think it's a great steel. And having a sort of, you know, I don't know, I guess, what would it be, a powdered version of that or something? I don't know. But anyway, these are all sort of in that price range, right? Like $60, $70, $80. But you're getting satin grinds here instead of these instead of the bead blast. And it just bugs me on that knife. It bugs me anytime they do it, honestly, you know. So anyway, that's aesthetics. You have thumb studs. The one thing aesthetically that I really like about this knife compared to other Civivis is they blacked out the button. Sorry, the pivot. They went ahead and they didn't do the bright gray or whatever C on the Civivi, which honestly has never bugged me. Like here's the WE Roxy, the WE Roxy 3 again. They do this on the Civivis as well. And I think if you're going to have this kind of be blacked out, I think that's kind of appropriate. So I'm glad they did it. But for me, it's not like something I have to have. All right, so ergonomics. You know, like I said, this thing fits my hand better than the Cogent. I just get a full grip. You know, I have a large glove size hand, and this is not a huge knife. I mean, it's a 3-inch blade. But I get a full grip, and it's comfortable. That's the important part. It's just more comfortable. The Cogent, I got a full grip. It just wasn't comfortable because of the weird tactical shit going on up here. This feels good in my hand. I can choke up. You kind of have a flat here. It's not meant to be a choil, but you could definitely use that in a pinch if you need to, obviously at your own risk. And then for me, in terms of grips, I use, you know, this pinch grip is kind of where I live on a lot of cuts. Shipping labels, cutting into packaging, that kind of shit. I have carried this for, man, when did I get this? I think it was about a week ago. I can't be certain, but it's been in my pocket every day since I got it. So whether it's been 4 days or a week, it's been plenty of time for me to get to know this knife and, you know, give a full review, obviously. One thing I want to kind of put out there, and nobody really questions me on, like, you've only had that knife for whatever, like, you can't review that, or you've only cut this. Like, nobody does that, but I personally have a sort of, not a guideline, but I have, you know, like a rule, so to speak. Like, I'm not going to review a knife that just came out of the box. I'm not going to review a knife that hasn't been in my pocket unless I specifically state this has not been in my pocket, and then I'll call that an overview, right? Even knives I have had in pocket but don't have the experience I feel like needed for a full review, I'll state that and call it an overview. That's why there's a difference between full review and overview in my titles a lot of times. But I've had a good amount of experience with this one. That's the weird thing where I'm saying I don't want to like it, but then it's been in my pocket every day. So I've been picking it up, not like, because if you know me well enough, if I don't like a knife at all, if I don't want to pick it up and put it in pocket, I'm probably just not going to review it, or I'll throw it into an overview or whatever, you know? So there is something about the knife. It's a very weird one for me. Anyway, ergos are good. It's a little bit thick, right? For me, anyway, it just seems a little bit thicker than it should be. Like, here's the Nomad 3.0 from Asher. And it's just, like, really thick. I don't know. Nobody points that out. I keep hearing, I've seen a couple reviews, and I keep hearing, it's light, and it's great. It's thin. Like, to me, this is thick. Like, they didn't nest liners. They left the liners proud. They did mill them, but it just, to me, it has weight to it for a 3-inch knife. It just seems a little bit weighty. Like, this one here is 3.3 or 3.25. Sorry, right? And it's definitely lighter. Like, this one is lighter for sure. So you get more knife. You get, obviously, thinness helps, but, like, you get more knife for less weight. And this has it has steel liners of some sort in there. I don't know if they're just holding the lock in. But anyway, point being, this feels a little heavy and thick for me, and I haven't heard that pointed out at all. And so maybe it is just me, right? That's the thing. Anyway, so that's ergos. They're good for sure. It feels good in hand. That's the key here, right? It carries fantastically. It carries left or right, no problem. It's, you know, classic Civivi, Kubi, budget knife where if you're going to flip the clip as a lefty, you need a T8 and a T6, which sucks because, you know, on the fly, usually I just have a T8, you know, with my fulcrum. So if I want to do it, you know, when I first get it, open it in the truck or you know, whatever. It's nice to just flip the clip. You gotta have two drivers. It sucks, or two bits, but it works fine. Had no issue reversing the clip, and it carries like a dream. I mean, front left pocket, absolutely great. Again, it doesn't feel heavy in pocket. Just in hand, I'm like, this is 3 inches. And I'm sure right-handed it would carry just as well. You don't get hung up on the clip because it has the clearance necessary. I've talked about this a few times now. If you look at Kubi's clip, at least on the Royal here, they just didn't give you enough clearance. So that's why you get caught on that spot right there. So a lot of people complain that the clip is not countersunk. The screws are, but the clip isn't, right? And they complain that, you know, it could catch or whatever. But I really never have that happen with these budgety knives except for this Kubi clip because it doesn't give you the clearance to get past that. So as long as you do that, you're fine. This clip is fine, right? Especially on a, you know, $60, $70 knife. You know, with Civivi now, that price is rising a bit, you know. You're getting for $60, you know, very nicely milled and everything on the G10. On a Kubi, but of course you're getting D2 and this is Nitro-V, so that's a difference. But it does seem like, you know, there's like $15 more in a Civivi now than there used to be just like 6 months ago. So whether that's inflation or just because now they have send cut, they can kind of justify raising their prices a little bit. This is what happens, guys. A company hits the market and they're at that low price point. They get everybody hyped up. Everybody's Civivi this, Civivi that. I mean, think about it. A year ago, everybody was saying Civivi's the best budget brand out there, right? So they got their spot in the market. Bang, price increase, right? Now people are interested. They're all over, you know, reviewers are saying they're great, all this shit, and everybody's just buying Civivis now. They don't need to rely on that low price to be the best ever kind of thing now. It's just how it works. It's just business, right? Sorry, I'm all over the place on tangents on this one. So carry's great. Cutting, also great. You have an excellent tip here for piercing. It also is low enough that for me, I don't need to do a lot of work to get down to that tip for cutting out shipping labels. I will say, as usual, I prefer a sheep's foot or a Warney just because I get more control. I'm cutting labels, right? So I'm cutting in a square, and I'm trying to get that straight line as best as possible. And I find with a Warney or a sheep's foot where that blade is low on the blade, I get a lot more of that control where I just go zzz, and it's a straight line. Whereas with something like this or a Tanto or whatever, I tend to kind of like veer off and that kind of stuff. Not a big deal. Not really an issue, so to speak, because we're talking about cutting paper here in a line. Like, I don't know who all does that kind of stuff other than me. But it's something to note for sure in my experience. But it did great at that. I cut open some packages with this. I cut some fruit with it for my kid and myself. We went to Produce Junction yesterday and bought a whole ton of fruit. So it had no issue with that. It's got a good grind. I mean, you're talking about a saber grind here, but you know, the flat grind starts pretty tall, so you get a good edge. There's never been a time where I've said Civivi screwed up a grind or their grinds aren't good or they're not nice and thin behind the edge. You do get what you pay for from them. In terms of, you know, action and fit and finish and the actual ability of it as a knife, which guess what, guys? This is a knife, right? It's not just a fidget toy. You know, I know that's a lot of what I do, but I also use my knives, and I like the knife to be good at that. And Civivis are always, always good cutters, in my opinion. Always good slicers. They're very reliable. That's the thing. Like, You know, you getting somebody into knives for the first time. What knife should I get? You know, you don't have to really worry if you recommend a Civivi. It's probably going to be centered. It's probably going to function pretty good. The fit and finish is going to be good. It's going to cut really well. It's going to have a great grind, which is the important thing. Getting somebody into knives, you want the knife to do good knife stuff. Yeah, you may have to be concerned that the detent is, you know, hit or miss. But lately they've been a lot better, and with the button locks, I haven't noticed any variance, but I've only handled a few. So cutting, I would say, is excellent, as per usual on a WE Civivi Send Cut knife, right? Always just excellent. Sounds. I'd say sounds are good. It's not crazy good. It's not bad or anything. It's a button lock. They're not usually super loud. I mean, if you want to do the... If you want to hear that, I'd say it's good. It's like a 6, 7 out of 10. You know, nothing amazing, but definitely not, you know, a negative. Action. Whew. All right, so... This is the interesting part for me is when I first got it, I wasn't the biggest fan of the action, okay? Now, I'm not usually a thumb stud guy, and on a button lock, I think I would much prefer a flipper tab. Just grab my LaCroix real quick. I think I prefer a flipper tab on a button lock just because it's like flip, bink, and it's kind of like, I don't know. To me, it kind of makes more sense, right? But, and like, as a knife guy in general, I'm not the biggest thumb stud guy. Like, a lot of the knives that have thumb studs that I like, I end up, you know, having a hole cut into it or whatever, right? So, thumb studs just aren't my thing. But, it's grown on me, like, so, from the beginning, I kind of was like, you know, I don't know if I love this knife. I don't think it's that great. Then I tuned it, which means the pivot walked a little bit. It was loose, right? So what I did was I took it apart, or I took the pivot out, sorry, put some Loctite on it, got it where it was just a little bit tighter than I wanted it, and then I let it sit for a day, right? And right now I have no play. I have a little bit of back and forth, like lock rock, so to speak, that I didn't have before. So I think that's just from wearing the spring in there and it's just going to happen with a button lock, it seems like. And it does seem like something that happens with the Civivi ones. But I've had that happen with Malibus. I've had a bunch of Malibus, and one I had for a long time, and it just slowly got more and more rock. It just is what happens. It doesn't, like, fail. That's just how it works. I don't know. Button locks are just susceptible to that. You probably just have to replace the spring after a while. It would be cool if they sent extra springs in the package with your button lock knife, but they don't. So anyway, I got it Loctited where I wanted, and then I've been carrying it, using it, fidgeting with it for at least 4 days now. And I mean, the action is, it's drop shut, push the button all the way in, it drops shut. It's usually how I like to disengage it. I just hold the button until it's done bouncing. You can try to just let go at the right time. That will work, and it'll suck it in. If you let go too early, you know, it'll stop up there, but I think that's pretty much any knife or button lock at this point. So I've gotten it down pretty good on the close. On the open, the detent is just, it's good. I mean, it doesn't need a strong detent because they've dialed these thumb studs in perfectly. They're well off the scale, so you get a good thumb grip right underneath them, and I get so much leverage on this knife. You know, it's just one of those things. It's kind of what I was talking about with the Microtech SOCOM Bravo. I just wasn't getting that type of firepower behind it. The Hogue Deca, same thing, right? But this one, that detent, which I'd say is relatively strong for a button lock or for a thumb stud knife in a good way. Like, not stiff, just like stronger. You can see that, right? All of that combined just whack comes out of there. You can get your finger behind the stud, Sorry, I fucked that up. There you go. Normally it's not on camera and I'm just doing this. I don't get as much power behind it, but the D10 is good that I don't need to, and it will shoot out, lock up, all that good stuff. One thing that's awesome about a button lock is it's kind of naturally ambidextrous because you don't have a frame lock. You don't have anything that you could put pressure on or screw up. You just have to avoid the button. And, you know, it's good left-handed. It's good right-handed, thumb, middle finger, whatever, right? It's great. So that's one thing I really like about a button lock. The button itself is in a very good spot. Like, they're really executing the button lock very well on these last two. I didn't love the Cogent design, but I can appreciate the button, or the button lock system. They're putting this cutout in that's about the same height as the button, and then it just makes for a really good deployment. You're not trying to, like, use the tiniest bit of your finger to get in there and push it because, you know, you can't get in because they gave you that cut. That's why they gave you the cutout, so your whole finger will fit in, right? And easily deploy that. It's very well done. Very well done. It's on bearings, and again, it's super loose, loose in the sense that it's, I mean, frictionless, loose, so to speak, when I push the button in. And there's no play or anything. It's just very well done, very well executed on this button lock. So, as you can tell, I really like it. It grew on me. And now that I've just gone through the review process, I like it more. Like, it clearly I like this knife. Like, in my heart of hearts, I want to hate it. But it's a good knife, and I like it. It's a great knife. This is a great knife. An excellent budget option. I mean, seriously, this thing is so much better than the Cogent. Really is. And what I like about it is it's not trying to directly compete with the Malibu. It's got a different deployment method. And I've kind of grown to like the thumb stud button lock thing. You know? It's very fidgety. It's very fun. But then when you need it to do some work, it can do that work. No problem. Great edge, all that stuff. 3-inch blade. It's really good. It really is. So there you go, guys. That's my full review on the Civivi Altus. I dig it. I do wonder what this is for. I guess that's for a lanyard, but it's just odd that they added that. Like one randomly small standoff there. Sort of strange, right? And again, I don't love the bead blast. But that's about it. Jesus. That's about it. I mean, I like most other things about it. The thumb studs are designed well. They catch well. Especially for me, guys. I have an issue with thumb studs. Like, here's that Sakosha from CKF, man. And if it's not a good stud, my finger slips off, right? It's so easy to slide right over this thing. And that happens to me on a lot of knives. But this knife, I've never slipped over that I can think of. It's always been very easy to deploy. And that's another thing about it. It has a solid detent for what it is and everything, yet it never feels like it's too stiff. It never, like, wears on your fingers. It's just not one of those knives you're like, oh my god, I gotta put it away because, you know, it's starting to hurt after a while. Nope. Just you could fidget with this thing all night. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about the Altus. I was not expecting to like this knife as much as I do. But it is what it is, right? That's just how it happens sometimes. It's how the cookie crumbles. And I love the Civivi Altus. Does that mean I'm going to keep it and it's going to be in my collection forever? Probably not. But it is sort of unique in my collection, being a thumb stud button lock. So we'll see what happens. If they ever make a micarta with satin or something, I'm all over it. But this G10 is done well. It grips well and everything. It's not that G10 that, like, bugs the shit out of me like some. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to shut up now. That's it. I love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.